the Football Mental Health Alliance podcast, a mental health podcast for grassroots football. Our aim, to boldly delve into the intersection of mental health and football. We feature notable experts and ex-pros who are not afraid to share their wisdom and personal journeys with mental health.
Simon York is a dedicated father of 4 neurodivergent children and a committed carer to his wife, who has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Despite his own challenges, including being disabled with prolapsed discs and a diagnosis of Functional Neurological Disorder, FND, following a neurological stroke in June 2023, Simon remains deeply passionate about disability football. His journey in disability football began over 15 years ago, when he started taking his children to sessions. Recognising the profound impact that accessible sports can have, Simon quickly got involved as a coach and has since made it his mission to raise awareness, improve access, and create opportunities for anyone who wants to play football. He takes great pride in witnessing how the confidence and skills developed on the pitch contribute to personal growth in players' everyday lives, enhancing their mental and physical health, building relationships, and opening up employment opportunities. In this episode, we dive deep into the mental health challenges that footballers and referees face, especially during transitional stages in their journeys. Simon and Danny explore the significant difficulties players experience when moving from youth to adult football, emphasising the lack of a proper transition period, which often results in young players dropping out of the sport. They discuss the physical and mental differences between youth and adult football, noting that the abrupt shift can be overwhelming for many players. The conversation also touches on the mental health impacts of negative experiences on the pitch, particularly for referees. Simon shares a personal story about the verbal abuse he endured while officiating, which left lasting mental scars. This abuse, often overlooked, is highlighted as a serious issue that needs more attention from football authorities. The hosts propose several solutions, including the introduction of transitional age groups to better prepare young players for adult football. They also advocate for improved mental health support systems for referees, suggesting that after-match check-ins or mentoring programs could help retain referees and protect their well-being. The episode emphasises the need for more education and awareness around mental health in football, both for players and officials. The discussion is a call to action for football organisations to take the mental health of everyone involved in the game more seriously. Key topics discussed: the gap between youth and adult football and its impact on player retention, the mental and physical challenges young players face when transitioning to adult football, personal experiences of mental health struggles as a referee, including dealing with abuse, the need for structured support and mentorship for referees, proposals for transitional age groups and better mental health frameworks in football.
But no, it's like I've had loads of conversations recently with, like you said, like that transition that they're in at this minute, not this minute, their age group they're in. I think like a lot of them, they've all started high school or secondary school. So there's a lot, I can see a lot of hormones, some are developing, sort of hormonally different to others. But I've also seen, and I think you've hit the nail on the head about the open age thing, where some have been playing 10 years, probably longer, and have got that winning mentality. I think this is a reason why a lot of people are dropping out of open age football, because there's no transition between junior or youth football. So they're going from playing, against people their own age, then day after, literally, not literally, but day after next match, they're playing against adults. And them adults have a lot of them are maybe, obviously they are older, they can be 10, 15 years older. And a lot of them have got an old school mentality towards mental health and stuff. So younger players go from that cocoon of junior football where it's, there's a lot of safeguarding and discussions around, not loads of discussions around mental health, but it's part of the game, to then adult football where a lot of it, if you look at the classic male stereotype, just get in, mate, get up, what's wrong with you? And I think that's why a lot of them drop out. And I think there needs to be like some transitional stages, maybe under 19s, under 23s, and then into open age, I think. And that'd retain more open age footballers.
I definitely agree, because you hear that, going from juniors into adult, the physical game, it's physically different. But when you strip it all back, it's mentally completely different as well. The way we spoke about that, some of the players could be in it for 10, 15 years. They know the ins and outs of open age football.
Yeah.
But when it comes from the development stage into the winning stage, and also the tactics on the pitch are slightly different, because you're then encouraged to do slightly different. You are going for the wins. You're the coaches, right? We need to do this. We need to do that. It's a lot more strict, the structure, I believe, as well. I've done both. I've done youth and adults, and even in the playing days, I was coming from a 16-year-old into open age football. I wasn't ready. I don't think I was ready till about 18, 19.
No.
Physically, I wasn't. I was quite a slight lad. A lot bigger now, but mentally, I just wasn't ready. So having that transition from 16 to 19, I would say, is probably the most developmental stage, physically and mentally. They say that, I'd completely agree. I think there needs to be something there for helping players make that transition, both physically and mentally. And just, I think it's just the support, isn't it? The team can stay the same, admittedly. I love it when teams come up from, say, under 10s all the way through to adults. But it's players will develop quicker. Some will be stronger. Some will be mentally stronger. Captains come forward and people like that. And it's having that team camaraderie, which I think is fantastic. But when you go from, say, you change team or go into adults, and when it comes to that adult transition, a lot of teams do fold, unfortunately. And many people, when it comes to, because they play together at school, and all of a sudden when they come adults, work life comes into it, for example, or
social
university
life
or college. Exactly. See, you normally go to a different team. So we've been privileged to have a nice 3 or 4 16 and 17-year-olds join the team. I'm talking ladies this year. And the ladies took to them very, very well indeed. And you see some of the older ones that helped them to learn the game. Put their arms around us. Do you need anything? And that mental, you can see them sometimes, and it's not being disrespectful to them at all. You can see that sometimes there's a bit lost, as in, well, this is a step up. This is more physical. There's a lot more demands on me. And I think it is the demands on the player that mentally can be draining. And someone go, do you know what? I'm not ready for this. And then they do drop out. And I think if the FA done a quota as such, or data, looking into the data of how many people drop out between the ages of 16 to 18, I think there'd be a big number. Those that I don't think we know how many do drop out at the moment. It's sad to see, because that's going to be the new influx into the game, isn't it? That's what keeps the game alive.
I think there needs to be a transition where you've got under 16s to maybe, and then you go to under 19s, and then you maybe go, I'm just picking, ages out of the head, but then maybe under 19s to under 21s or under 23s, and then you go into open age. And it's like, what you were saying there takes me back to when we went back in day, a long time ago. We went under 16s, and then you went under 16s into open age. So I remember we had a team of us, and then we went into, like, where we were back then. Adult football were huge. There were 6 divisions on a Sunday, a very good standard. The Saturday football was of a better standard than Saturday afternoons, but the Sunday morning football there were 6 divisions, 20 teams in each division, really good standard. And because we were new, we went into the bottom division, Division 6. So the club that we were at, that I coach at now, still, they sort of transitioned us with maybe four open age adults. So we had a different coach, and then a couple of the older boys came with us into the team. But we had, you talk about that fear and that mental health sort of thing. I remember, we were getting phone calls from one of teams telling us they were going to break us legs and stuff. And and we were like, what? We were absolutely shitting ourselves, you know. But as it happens, we won the league because we were fitter and quicker than the other teams. And this other team that were going to break our legs, they came second. Because and yeah, you look back now and I think like I don't know, we're different then. You know, you had to go and get on with it. You know, there were no one to talk to and go, you know, I'm a bit scared about this. You know, we just cracked on. And I remember going to their place away, and we were all I'll have been 15. We were all shitting ourselves. You know, we won, and they were trying to hurt us. But you know, I'm surprised that none of us dropped out. But I think because times were different then, there wasn't an option really. It wasn't very much just get on with it. I'm not saying that's right at all, but
no,
you know, it takes me back, that thinking about it. Yeah, getting phone calls and
going back in the day, it used to be that when I was younger, I mean, a good like 20 odd years ago now, 30 years even, that it used to be, you go into under 16s, then straight into adults. Like a lot of the time now, you see an under 18s. There's a few clubs locally that have a first, second, and third team even, which is fantastic. But back 20, 30 years ago, you played football a lot of the time that we didn't have the infrastructure we got now with computers and all sorts of social media and stuff like that, for example. It was like, do you know what? I want to play football because that was my outlet to be social with your friends and stuff. So it was like, well, if I don't do it, I haven't got that social network that I've got now. So a lot of them had to step up and do it. But even teams now, I've seen some games I've gone to, and even being a referee, for example, you look one side and you see 30, 35-year-olds, burly men that have been around the game, they know it, they're huge. And you look to the other team, you're like, oh, this is 16, 17-year-olds that are coming in. And for me, and I don't mean it disrespectful at all, I'm thinking, oh, this could be a bit one-sided or so because of the physical aspect. So I'm just taking the physical aspect into it. But the 16, 17-year-olds have stood up to it and just gone, and all of a sudden it could be 4 or 5-0 one side. And you're like, the fitness comes into it, the mental. But I think that some of that comes with no fear as well, because they're going into the unknown. The no fear aspect is there, and I love that. And it's some of the men, they go over, they shake hands, they got absolutely fantastic games, and I think the sportsmanship is fantastic in the game at the moment. Between the older and younger ones, I think where some of the mature players now are thinking, well, do you know, this game is moving on. It is. We do need the youngsters to come into the game and keep this game going. That I think, especially in the middle, for example, you do see a bit more respect between the older players and younger ones now, and there's a lot more kind of passing the baton as such, in terms of you're the next one's coming through. Let me support you in doing that, and it's great. I've only seen it really this season. To be honest, it's a lot more this season. That we want the game to continue. Let's grow our youth. And there's a lot more teams, especially locally, like I said, have now put in reserve teams, second teams, third teams, even under 18s, which I think is key at the moment. I do like that development stage, but no, the game in whole, I think it's changing all the time, isn't it? From when we was playing to now, it's changed a lot, but it's only going to grow, isn't it? To be honest.
I think, like, you know, around here, the junior game, youth game is huge. We've got waiting lists every week. We're getting contacted saying, you know, can my son join? And it's like, well, there's a waiting list to join. You know, we've got 2 teams. There's a waiting list. So junior football is absolutely thriving around here, and I think it's the same in, you know, across the country.
Definitely.
It's really good. And like I said, some around here, some lads can't get a team because there's literally on waiting lists everywhere. So, like, you know, what tends to happen is, then the following season, if you're not transitioning for sort of 5 to 7, 7 to 9s, 9 to 11s, then they're creating an extra team then to bring these lists in, where we're going from 9s to 11s next year, full size pitch, 9s to 11s, and that's where we're in that position now of might be a bit tight for players, because, you know, for an 11-a-side, you probably need 14, 15, maybe 16 players per team signed on, don't you, for injuries, absences and stuff. So we're at that juggling point now. It's like, bloody hell, you know, are we going to have enough players? So the players have come down and joined us training, to get them into already and stuff. And then it's like, obviously the season will finish soon, month, 6 weeks off or so, and then it's, let's see who's coming back and see if we've got enough. So yeah, it's just really thriving around here, this junior game where we are. It's a Huddersfield Junior Football League, I think, is one of the biggest in the country from what I'm.
It sounds huge, to be honest.
Yeah.
From listening to yourself, it does seem a good league, to be honest.
Yeah, it is, and it's run really well, and it's like anything. I think the biggest issue I've seen is parents, more than anything, and parents just, it's junior football. We're not going for World Cup, we're not going for Champions League. It's junior football. They're 12 years old. Let them enjoy it. Yeah, encourage them, encourage them and give them the tools so they give 100%. But that's all you need to do. It's as a coach, I've seen parents totally contradict what the coaches are saying, and from the sideline, it's like, don't happen with me, thankfully, but I'm sort of keep them at arm's length a lot of the time, and I'll just say, look, I'm doing this for a reason. So you might not see why I'm asking them to do this, but I'm asking them to do it for a reason. So encourage them, but don't tell them what to do, because you're telling them exact opposite of me.
I've seen that in the middle, being a ref. It's horrible. Like, I've seen, especially when I'm refereeing in the youth games. So between 10 and say 15 years of age, you see a coach on the sidelines giving encouragement, structure, discipline, what they're asking them to do. But you see a few parents that'll be on the sideline that I would say are quite detrimental at times too. I don't think they want to, but there'll be a player in the middle and he's been given 3 or 4 different instructions by the parent and the coach. And me there as a referee, I can't say anything apart from I go past the player and sometimes I say, "Are you okay? Enjoy your game." Really trying, because you see this child and the mind is gone. They're not enjoying the game because of the fact that they've had so many distractions put into them. And it could be, "Oh, you're not doing this right. You're not doing this. Oh, you should be doing this," shouting at them. And me as a ref, I'm like, I want to go over to the parent and say, "Look, have a look at your child. Look how they're not happy playing." And football should be a happy place. It should be a place that you enjoying yourself. Especially in youth, you should have a right to express yourself. And the only way you can learn from the game is expressing yourself and learning from that. So for me, I've always done, when I've been teaching youth, for example, is try, learn, communicate. It's a TLC. So when I go past a player and I can see them struggling, it's hard because I want to put my arm around and say, "You're okay." And this is where you'll see a lot of coaches go, "Oh, like, you talk a lot to my players," and I'm saying, I do, because the fact that I want them to enjoy it. So as I'm going past, "Are you okay? Oh, great pass there, really well done. You do what you want to do. Listen to your coach." And I'm always saying, listen to your coach, because that, for me, I wouldn't be doing my job as a referee kind of thing if I'm trying to give them instructions. Of the coaches. "Oh, so listen to your coaches." "Yeah, but my mum said this, or my dad's saying this." Do you first, and after the game, go over and say to your parent, "Yeah, I listened, mum, I listened, dad." Shake the hands, do whatever you wish, but you on the pitch, you enjoy it. You listen to your coach and you enjoy it yourself. But I can see it sometimes. I've had a couple of the players that you can see that they're nearly on the cuff of crying. And even when it comes to adults, that you still have a few parents on the sideline kind of thing, and they're shouting, sometimes even abuse towards their own children. And even abuse to their teammates. Like, "Oh, you should be passing the effing ball to this player," and all sorts. And you're there as in the middle as a ref, and you're like, this is hurting the game. It's not encouraging the game. It's hurting the game. But what am I meant to say in the middle? I can't turn around and say, "Like, can we please stop this?" It's getting to a point that there needs to be a bit more off the pitch, as in terms of, look, and I love what the FA are doing. Like, look, let players play. And I love that. And I think there's an emphasis on the youth doing that. But then it also needs to be taken into the adults game as well. Let them play. Let them play. I know it'll always be, when you paid your money as a spectator, that everyone feels that they have a right to express their opinion. But when you're standing in the middle and you're hearing all the comments that are coming in, it does get to you. It does. And for me, and I know I spoke to you about this on the course that we done.
Yeah.
As a referee in the middle, it can be quite isolated because the fact that you're hearing from four sides of the ground that you're this, you're this, you're this, you're that. And you're focusing on what's going on around you. You focus on the game, but you can hear, ref, you're this, ref, you're that, and you're not doing this right. And it's a lonely place to be, because you haven't got your teammates around you to call on. You look around, and that one comment, you could be having a fantastic game, and the players can be telling you that as well. I've been in a game that not blowing my own horn and such. Oh, good call there, ref, well done, and all sorts. And it's just been one comment or two comments from the sideline that just sticks with you. And it's like, well, I had a functional stroke in June last year. And I come back to the game and I had a bit of weakness on my left side. So I was trying my best in running, but I went with a bit of a limp to start off with. And I had a fantastic game. I come back to an adults game, and the players loved it. The scores were going well. I don't think, like, for me, a couple of decisions I may have, I could have let that go kind of thing, but I was reffing it to the best of my ability. Players were going, yep, fair all the way down. And then I had a few comments. And there was one comment, it was like, oh, we got a disabled ref today. Oh, he's not keeping up in all sorts. And that one comment, it was like, oh, he shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be reffing. And I heard it from the sideline. And I had nowhere to go. My mind was gone. And I was there. And it happened probably in about the 40th minute. So I had to sit in the changing room. And I was sitting there and I was nearly in tears because I was like, do I want to go back out second half? I was like, do I need this? Should I be doing this? Have I come back too quick? Have I done this? And all sorts. And I had no team around me, just me on my own sitting in the dressing room. And I think I like my wife's around, and I think I phoned my wife or text my wife. I think I did phone my wife and just said, oh, like, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. And I had that network then of my wife that which was fantastic. But if I was a bit younger, I don't think I'd have dealt with it as much as I did now. And even though I've been reffing for a good number of years now, that hit me, that one comment. Like, when I was there as a ref on my own, I had no one to turn to. I had over 45 minutes, and then it gradually got worse in the second half. But I couldn't tell where it was coming from. And luckily, one of the players heard what was going on and come over and said, ref, you're having a great game. And quite out of the blue, just like put his hand on my shoulder kind of thing, said, oh, keep going, ref, you're playing amazing today, you're doing really well. I was like reffing really well. And that kind of brought me back into it. And I enjoyed the game, and at the end, players all shook hands and all sorts. But still driving home, that one comment, that feeling of when they say about abuse on the pitch, it's from players to players and stuff like that, you can deal with it. So if there's players going at each other on the pitch and saying derogatory things, or you're fat, you're this, you can deal with it with cards and all sorts, and you can manage the situation. But as a referee, when it's directed to you as a referee, not from players, but you can hear things going on around you. So a coach, you can go over and you can show a card. But you've shown what you've done and you're not happy with it. But it doesn't mean that them comments have not gone deeper and gone mentally, that you're then mentally scarred. Like for me, that comment, and even now you can feel
it's upsetting me. I feel upset hearing this.
And it was like that comment, oh, we got a disabled ref today and he shouldn't be doing it, and oh, do we need these referees in the game and stuff like that. I could hear really derogatory kind of things, and because I was running slightly with a limp coming back from my stroke kind of thing, it was like, oh, well, he's not keeping it. And I was keeping up with play more than anything. I was putting so much effort in. Physically I was drained, mentally I was just gone. I was shot. And it's where you said mental health as a referee, I then looked at not the players. The players were fantastic, but I always looked now, and I still do it when I get given games now. I look for that team. Like, have I got that team? Have I got that team? Because, but at the time, like, I probably could have managed it better. Like, I could have put in a misconduct report. I don't know what I could have done, and I probably could have. I probably should have done, in fairness. But you sit there at home, and I sat in the car and I was like, what did I do? And you start questioning yourself. Mentally, that probably has left a scar on me now that I will get over it, and I probably will do. But I now look at it and think, right, did I do this? Did I do this? And as a person, I probably changed. I'm going into, I know the game afterwards. I probably pushed myself harder than I've ever done, and I wouldn't say I hurt myself because of it, but I was just literally running around like a headless chicken at times because I wanted to show that I could do it physically. But I probably didn't have one of my best games because I wasn't in the right positions. I just let myself go a little bit. So where it comes to comments, they really can hurt. And being a referee, it's, well, who do we turn to? Because when you're on the pitch, like immediately, if you're a player, you've got 11 players around you, for example, your own team that support. You can go in the change room at half time and you can say, oh, this has happened. But when you're doing grassroots football with me as a ref, for example, that a lot of the time you are on your own. And you go into that dressing room at half time, then 15 minutes in that dressing room could be the longest 15 minutes you've ever had. What support can we now get? I don't know. If I love the fact that there is referee support groups out there, like Ref Support UK and stuff like that, that I can go on, and I've reached out to a few referees independently. I've got a good referee down here, Tom, for example, that I've reached out to a couple of times. There's an older ref and gone through this, and it's gone for and said, "Oh, keep your head up," and all sorts. Because a couple of years I went through it before that I stepped away from the game completely. I had a year out of refereeing completely. The fact that that was more on the physical abuse. I got caught on the hand, and I pulled out a card, and someone slapped the card out of my hand and like broke my finger and stuff. But there's a lot of emphasis on, like, when it comes to referee, it's gone, found abusive language to a referee. And that's players. Like, if they give you can show them a card and stuff like that, for example, and you can send them off, you can put in a misconduct report. But you've shown on the outside that obviously you're not dealing with this, and you can show a card. But mentally inside, I'm drained. It leaves an impact on me as a referee that don't just last that one game. It can last months, or even now when, like, I came back from the game, I think it was September. Was it September? Around then anyway. This season, I come back this season to after my stroke, and I was like, okay, I've had the physical abuse before, kind of thing, is fine, but these comments now, they're meaning more to me now. The fact that, look, I've gone through the physical abuse, and I've shown cards and all sorts, but I'm there at home, and I'm just my mental side. I'm probably stronger now than I've ever been, because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, just," and you just hear these words all the time. "I'll just get over it," or or I've even heard it from players and even friends that I've spoken to, that I've kind of, oh, it's what you're paid for. It's what you're getting paid for. Like, be in the middle. This is your job. This is your role. How much money does it take for you to stand there and mentally, your mental health being affected? And I thought about this the last couple of days. It's like there's no figure on that, but I know what I'm stepping into, and I understand that. I know I'm stepping into a place that you've got two sets of supporters, you've got two teams that one side is not always going to agree with yourself, and it could be that all of them disagree with you. And I've had that before, that I haven't had the best of games, and I know I haven't. And you come off the pitch, and I've had to put my hands up sometimes and go, do you know what? In fairness, me as a referee, I haven't had the best of my games here, but I've refereed it as I see the game. So you might agree with some decisions, you may not. And on reflection, I probably could have, maybe pulled a card out there, stop the game for this. And I've had so much. But you deal with it as long as you answer and stuff like that. And people go, "Oh, that's what you're stepping into. That's what you're going in there as a ref." And I was like, well, but that's what I enjoy the game. I enjoy the game. I love the game, and I want to be refereeing the game. Because I enjoy it, and I want you to continue. I want you to continue with the game. But at the same time, do I really need to be having? I wouldn't say it's the abuse. It's more that, do I need to be taking this all away from the game to be struggling with it on my own. And it's having that support network around that I think does need to be a bit more.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk on, oh well, for players, and I completely understand players. Oh, there's a lot out there, but when it comes to officials, there is a good support network after the game, or before you can speak to them, but during the game, you're on your own. And when it comes to the online forums, and this is what I for me, this is my only suggestion. That when you're putting in your referees reports at the end of the game, it says, oh well, how many cards you put in, was there any, how was the linesman, how was the spectators, and you put in a percentage and stuff like that. Is there any misconduct? Do you know what? The last comment that I would love to, and how are you?
Yeah.
Because then
brilliant.
you're like, do you know what? This game has left me feeling this and this.
Yeah.
And where it says, oh, would you like to put in a misconduct report, and someone give you a call or something like that, for example, like you put in a misconduct. If you put in, how are you? And you go, do you know what? After the day's game, I'm feeling this, this, and this. Press submit, and you click a box or something like that. You go, do you know what? I need to speak to someone.
Yeah.
Just having that option would be fantastic. And if there's someone there, I'm not saying a mental health professional, or maybe I am, I'm not too sure. Just even if it's another referee, that'll give you a call and go, do you know what? Are you okay? I think that'll keep more referees in the game more than anything.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea, and there's a lot of things that I'm picking up from what you've said, and like to sort of unpackage what you're saying in my head. It's like as a referee, you know, on that horrendous abuse that you got, that were personal. That were utterly personal. And I can completely understand. You know, if someone's questioning your decisions and stuff, that's a bit removed from you as a person, isn't it? It's a decision. That is utterly personal. That's disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. And like, if someone says to you, well, that's what you get paid for. No one gets paid to be abused at any level, certainly that level. And when you were talking about you were sat in the changing rooms, that as you said, you're on your own. So like, if as a player, and something happens to you know, so let's say a player gets some abuse at half time, he can say to his coach, or at any point in the game, he can say, look, get me off, I'm not right. And they can substitute. You don't have a chance. You don't have a choice. You don't come out for second half. There's no game, is there? So you've got to, you can't say, you know, like in the pro game, you know, I've pulled an hamstring, I need to sub. You can't do that. You know, so you've got to go out, and I can only, I can't imagine, but I can only try and imagine what you were going through, and the fear that was in your head, and the doubts that you had, and it's just utterly appalling. And I think like it would be fantastic if, I don't know how it works, but maybe each league had a referee mentor where, like I say, it doesn't. A mental health professional would be brilliant, but another referee that could give you a ring and say, and you could just offload on that ref and explain what happened, and that experienced mentor could give you some advice, and I think that'd be fantastic. I think it's and as you said, that'll retain more referees in the game, definitely.
Yeah, I think sometimes, because admittedly down here in Devon and Cornwall, that I referee, especially Cornwall. I do more in Cornwall than anywhere else currently. That we do have referee mentors or FA mentors around, and I think that's fantastic. For me personally, sometimes it is like, well, should I say something? Should I not? That 15 minutes in that changing room. So even leading up to a game, and I'll be honest with yourself, leading up to a game, sometimes you ref the game as the laws of the game. So for me, I'm non-biased, straight through. It doesn't matter. Like if I've got a history of you and all sorts. Apart from that one time, that moment, like these comments, I go in thinking, I'm not looking forward to this. I'm not looking forward to this because of this, this, and this. And it's not. I would never treat the team any differently or the player any differently, even though I could have sent the player off 10 times previously over the last couple of seasons. I just ref the game as it goes. But it doesn't mean that leading up to the game. So for me, I get notifications a week, 2 weeks, even a month in advance of the games I'm doing. Oh God, I'm not looking forward to that because of this, this, and this. And the anxiety and the trepidation that comes into it, going, do you know what? I don't want to do this, or I do want to do this because I want to overcome it. I want the challenge and all sorts, for example. But it could be leading up to that week, and I've said to my wife before, I'm like, my manner is off because of the fact that, one, I'm stressed about the game coming up, and I shouldn't be. And it's having, and maybe I should reach out, and I'm hoping other referees will do it from this, that, do you know what, I can speak to my referee development officer, the mentor, and go, do you know what, I've got this game coming up. This happened to me last time. How can not do the game any differently? Because that's not what I want. No. I don't want to be told to change. But is there anything I can do? Well, is there anything I have to do? Or is it just, do you know what, I'm just give you a call. This is how I'm feeling at the moment. Can I just talk through the game and all sorts? But I know there's probably nothing that we can do with that halftime talk, whatever. Yeah. I don't know what we can do. I don't know if there's anything there that we can be done there, for example, because they are the loneliest 15 minutes. And for me personally, like when this happened, I went for a stage, and I did even this season kind of thing, and I've done it before, that when I got abuse before kind of thing, or especially when my hand happened, I went for a stage like, do you know what, I don't want to be on my own anymore. No. I don't want to be in the middle on my own. And I requested to do lines, so be part of a team. Yeah. I didn't probably tell anyone the reason why I wanted that. And I was like, oh, can I go on the lines for a bit? And I said to him, oh, like I've got a little paw in my hamstring, or I got a little of this, because the fact that, oh, please put me on the line today. But that wasn't mostly to do with the fact that I was hurt. The fact that, do you know what, I just needed that people around me that, do you know what, I still wanted to be involved in the game. And like, I'm in the middle now. I'm doing a lot more middles, and I'm really enjoying it. For me, I'm just worried more about the younger referees coming into the game, that if they are there on their own and they're hearing stuff and stuff like that, because there was a saying before, and I don't know how true it is, that it takes like 17 positive words to get over one negative. And I don't know if the saying's right or whatever, or the facts, but that one comment, and you can hear it stuck with me for ages. And I'm mentally strong from coaching and refereeing, and like the disability. I've had a disability now for ages and for years, and mentally I probably am quite strong, but it did affect me as well. And I'm thinking, if it was a younger ref or someone coming in, how would that affect him? Is this one reason that refs are leaving the game? Not because of the physical abuse that they get, for example, on physical, or there's a lot where it says, oh, no ref, no game. That's correct, and I understand that. But where you strip it all down and goes, oh, a lot of referees get verbal and physical abuse on the pitch, and players need to do this. It's really, when you go off it, it's the mental strain that some of the games have, and from comments on the sideline. If you think you've had a really bad game and someone mentions that as well, that, oh, you're shit today, ref, or whatever, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can literally stick with you, and you're thinking, do you know what, you do question yourself a little bit. Sometimes you just have to go, do you know what, that's the game, I'll go into the next game and start afresh.
Yeah.
But there is little comments like the one I got, for example, that it stuck with me. Like, this is good 7-8 months down the line now.
That's not a little comment, Simon.
I know it isn't.
That's not a little comment.
It was awful, and it's stuff like that. And I appreciate you saying that, actually. That's nice. That, do you know what, it was awful, and but the mental health side of it, it's not just the physical. For me, that is verbal abuse, and I understand that. But when you strip it down to some of the things that happen for a referee during the game, because you are in an isolated kind of environment, even though you've got loads of people around you, and sometimes you go back to, oh, would you like a meal, or do you want a drink with us, and stuff like that. Oh, for me, I've been put in situations, I wouldn't say that I had to go and stuff like that. I just felt that it was part to try and get the situation over. And you're standing there and you're hearing comments like, oh, the ref was this and all sorts. Yeah. And you're there and you're in, or even you go back to the changing room and you can hear through the wall, oh, the referee is fucking shit today. Yeah. Sorry, excuse my language.
That's all right, no.
And it was like, you could hear it, and you take away from that, you walk away from the game, and you're just like, sometimes, do I need this? 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 And you hear in the referee circles a lot, and unfortunately, you do see a lot of referees going, "Do you know what? I can't do this anymore because of A, B, and C." A lot of it does come down to the fact that it's not just the abuse they're getting, but it's more that I can't do this no more. It's affecting my mental health. It's affecting my home life. It's affecting how I am with my children, my job, and all sorts. And it's that aspect now that I think really needs to be looked at. That it's not just what happens on the pitch and during the game. I think the FA personally, and this is just my own opinion, and I can get shot down for it, no problem. I think there needs to be more done outside the game. So when that game finishes or leading up to the game, so as coaches, players, all sorts, how are you feeling going into the game? How are you feeling coming out of the game? And especially, I'm just focusing on the referee side at the moment. That where you got the team environment, so coach has got a team, the players have got a team, they got a support network. For me, I'll go back and I speak to my support network, which is my family and friends. And my wife and family have been absolutely superb and supportive on that. And even the players that I speak to on the disability front. But they can tell if something's off. They can. And for me, I take it really personally. But there's stuff online that I can deal with. I can speak to people online, but it's that initial, when you come off, you are on your own, you're isolated, you go back to your car, especially if you're doing it on your own. It's them moments of doubting yourself. Can there be anything done there? I'm not too sure. Or if it's after the game, is there a pop-up that comes onto your game saying, how was it? How are you? And all sorts. And maybe an alert, like we all know that games, like some games, like my games start at 3, they finish at 4:45, 5 o'clock. Is there anything that can pop up for a referee just going, put your scores in or whatever, how are you? And if you press a button and go, do you know what, I'm feeling like I want to leave the game or anything like that, that you press a button and someone gives you a call, or you receive a message going, someone will give you a call tomorrow. At least you've got that support there to go, do you know what, do you know, this referee is right now thinking of leaving the game as a whole, or he's struggling. But that doesn't just have to be for a referee. That can be for a coach, that can be for a player, or anything. Like when the game finishes, or there might even be a subscription service, not a subscription, like somebody goes, do you know what, if you're struggling with your mental health, you can sign up to this program that after your game finishes, if you're in a position that, do you know what, you need support, you need help, press a link, press a button, and someone will give you a call. One, that keeps players in the game. 2, that keeps coaches in the game, and that keeps referees in the game. It's just a thought, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
I think it's a great idea. I do, and I think, like when you're talking about, you know, your support network, which sounds fabulous. I think also it does help though to have someone that's been in that position. So, you know, if you can talk to another referee after the game and unpack, you know, what's happened, they'll have probably experienced that as well, won't they? You know, and at some point, you know, I've ref, not at your level, but as a grassroots coach, I've refed my, you know, on a weekend, I have to, you know, so if a parent or we can't get a ref to come in, you know, we have to ref as coaches. And, you know, it's, you know, you can sort of, if some younger lads, you know, under 12s without now questioning it, I said, look, I'm not going to change my mind, get on with it. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, and I suppose you could take that to adults. I've refed adult games as well, when, you know, this is going back years when I used to play. If a team didn't have a ref, I'd ref, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. But I think if you've got someone that you can talk to after the game and unpackage what's going on here, and the doubts or fears or anxiety that not just you have, that we all have as adults and as a referee, that ref can help you unpackage that and say, well, you know, that's happened to me, I get where you're coming from, did this happen, did that happen, and talking is, I know everyone says it's okay to talk, and it's best thing to do, isn't it? And I think all that tension and fear and resentment and anger that you've got, not you, but, you know, as referees after the game, it'll just like dissipate, won't it? You know, and it might take someone from going, I've had enough, do I need this? And I hear that loads from coaches and referees, you know, every week. Do I need this? To, yeah, I do need this. and I know I need this, and I've got rid of all that crap, and I understand it, and I'm back, and I think that's an invaluable tool that's needed, and I think that there's not enough done for referees, and I think it's difficult for any referee. I think like a lot of it, what I see as well is at sort of junior level, referees are like volunteer referees. We don't know full rules at game.
Yep.
Sometimes, I'm obsessed with football. I watch it all the time, but I don't know Rule 7B/2.3 if a player does this, and then you question yourself. And so I'm just speaking out of experience, not refereeing at your level, but I get the point of where you make a decision and you hear a couple of people on sideline questioning it. That can then start the cogs of self-doubt going, can't they? And that's when you can potentially spiral into making a number of bad decisions, because you sort of, where before you're quick to blow up whistle because you know it's the right decision, where then it's like, oh, I know this decision's right, but I'm questioning myself. And I had conversation with a couple of refs. I think I said this when we did the training. And like, there was some mental health stuff, and I said, best way I can describe it is you're refereeing a game. I know you mentioned about, having like an hamstring injury earlier when we were in discussion. And I said, so you're running up pitch and you're keeping up with play and you feel a tweak in your hamstring. Has that ever happened? Yeah. I said, well, that's physical health. Oh, yeah, I get that. I said, same game, you're running up and down and you make a call and someone questions it quite vocally and quite vociferously. Yeah, and then you 5 minutes later, same person does the same again. And then all of a sudden, you start doubting yourself. So you're not as quick to blow that whistle confidently. I said, have you been in that situation? He says, yeah, all the time. He says, you get it and you start questioning yourself. I said, that's mental health. And they both went,
it's true.
Yeah.
It's so true that all the time, like on a game, like I've always said, but laws of the game, where with my disability and autism and stuff like that, for example, I am quite black and white.
Yeah.
And it's, well, that's a foul, I'm giving it. That's fine.
Yeah.
In the laws of the game, so for me that is a kind of a plus and add for me, because it's like black and white. No, that's it. That's a foul. I'm giving it. I'm not going to change my decision and all sorts. But where I'm giving it, you will get, you'll always get a team that says, oh no, that's not right, and all sorts and all sorts. I've got to the point now, I go, no, do you know what? I've stuck to my decision. This one getting that's what I'm doing, in all sorts. But you will get them, the coaches, the spectators, the players, and I can't say that it doesn't affect you, because it does, because you do. Like that whistle that I was blowing straight within like half a second or whatever, as soon as it happened, 2 or 3 seconds later, going, oh, do you know what? Should I not? And all sorts. And you do get like that. And this is where the point I was trying to make, like them decisions in the game. Sometimes for me, you go off the pitch at the end of the game or half time, you're going back through these decisions that you've made, but these comments remain with you. So it's like, why? Well, this decision, why didn't I make it? Oh, because of some of the comments that got made, or when I made this, I was called some horrendous names and stuff like that. And you're thinking, well, these decisions normally come with a comment. They do. These decisions normally come with a comment. With comments, or because there was a comment, I made this decision, like a sin bin and stuff like that. So I dealt with it on the pitch. So any dissent, you can show a yellow card, or you can show or send them off, or you can even do sin bins now. And I think the sin bin has been, I know there's a lot of comments on there and discussions. I found sin bins to be brilliant, and that's for my own point of view, that I've even done a sin bin, the player's gone off, I've explained why I've sin binned him, and I was like, look, I'm not having that dissent and stuff like that. I said, that's on the border of being worse. I said, look, go and think about the comments you made towards me or other players, and come back. And a couple of times when they've had them 10 minutes, they've come back on and they've gone, oh shit, what have I done? And it's been brilliant. Some of the players have actually come straight up to me straight away, and I'm gone, oh, here we go, it's all going to kick off again or whatever. They put their hand down and said, I'm really sorry, ref.
Brilliant.
And after that, the game has been brilliant. And even throughout the season, you can see that their mannerism is different. Their attitude towards the ref is different, because you've gone, do you know what? That's not acceptable. I'm not having that. So for me, the sin bin has been absolutely superb. But it's more, what can we do on the pitch? You can deal with a lot of stuff. You can. And for me as a referee, I've got powers in me to go, do you know what? There's misconduct, or if it got to a point, I can even call off a game if it gets really, really serious and bad in terms of comments games and all sorts. So as a power, like, do you know what? We're not doing this. But once that game stops, once everything's stopped or leading into a game and stuff like that, the powers are kind of out of your hands, kind of thing. So after the game, kind of thing, that when the game is stopped and you've stepped away from the game, so there's nothing that you can then do. That's when, for me, the game continues. So me, the game doesn't stop after 90 minutes, and it's, do you know what? I sometimes I do take that game into me for a few days, or even into the next game. So it's having that support network there to go, do you know what? I do need a bit of help, or this is what I'm struggling with. But mental health can also be seen as positives. So for me, like, I love it sometimes when the players come over and say, "Oh, you've had a good game," and all sorts. I'm absolutely buzzing for the next game. I'm absolutely buzzing. So mental health isn't always negative, and I appreciate that. There's mental health can be a massively positive thing as well. That when you've got a network around you, or you've got a support network, or you've got someone who goes, do you know what? You've done this well, or this is going well, or me personally, if I've got positive, great mental health going into a game, I have an absolute superb game. Well, I try my best. I always do that, but you're looking forward to it. You're positive. Your mannerisms and your attitude is different. And I've gone to games and I'm so upbeat and bubbly sometimes because I'm so looking forward to this. The players get involved with it and they get on it. Go, oh, how you doing, Ref? Oh, I'm absolutely superb today. How are you? And stuff like that. And you think, oh, that's nice to hear, Ref, and all sorts. And I've always seen the game's different, but a couple of times when I've gone into a game, and I don't want it to be shown on the outside. That there's been a couple of games I've gone to, and because of past history or something like that, or because my mental health is low, for example, because of the game as such, they can see that and they're like, "Oh, are you all right, Ref? You don't look up for it today." And straight away, "Oh, you don't look up for it today." Straight away, that's oh shit, hang on, really? Right, okay.
And that puts another seed of doubt in, doesn't it? Then
it does, but it also puts the seed of doubt in the players as well, because if they can't trust your decisions that you're making, or straight away that one comment can be heard by quite a few teammates. "Oh, you don't look up for it today, Ref." That first challenge that comes in, and you're like, you're quite close, up 5-6 yards away. All of a sudden they go, "Oh, you're not close enough," and their decisions that you get on the back of, they're like, oh, we knew you weren't up to it today, Ref. Oh, some of these, and all of a sudden it goes. So having that positive mental attitude going into the game has a lasting effect on the game. But if you come off the pitch as well, and do you know what, you have got that positive mental, do you know what? And a lot of the time now, no matter what happens on the pitch, I've always tried to come off the pitch now, shaking everyone, saying, "Oh, great game today, well done," and showing that I've enjoyed it. I'm positive. You know what?
You're grateful to be there.
Yeah, I am, because I'm hoping that reflects on the players, but also going into the next game. If I need to see them again, stuff like that, do you know what? He's done a fair job, done a good job there. He's been non-biased or whatever, and actually he's really enjoyed it and stuff like that. And he's not letting stuff get done. But behind that screen as well, and I'll be honest, behind that screen, I can be feeling horrible because of what's going on, and it's sometimes
Simon, you're human though, Simon. You're human.
Yeah,
that's it. You know, you're human. It's this, and I'm not trying to downplay what you're saying. Everyone's the same. Everyone, and like, it's football's like life. It's a confidence game, and refereeing is football. So like, you imagine, look at someone like Harry Kane. You know, he'll have a good game. He'll have the fans saying well done, loving him, and he'll go into the next game like you went into that next game. I'm up for this. I'm going to have a good game. I'm going to score again. And then he might then have one game where he misses a few, and then he hears a few comments, and then he's worried about the next game. Or it could be like when you said, "I'm looking at this game. I've had this opposition before. at every level of football, you think, oh, I don't fancy playing here because I'm going to get a lot of crap off sideline.
Yeah.
And that affects your game and it affects your confidence and you start doubting yourself. You know, it's human nature. The only thing is you're on your own. As we've said many, many times, you don't have anyone there to bounce off, to be part. You know, that's why football's brilliant, 'cause it's a team game. You're not on your own. You know, you're part of part of 11, 5, 7, whatever age group you're playing at. You're part of a team and you pull each other along. And sometimes those that are in that not feeling good today get pulled on by the ones that are, I'm up for this, come on. And then, but as a ref, you know, who I've heard this said in business, who motivates the motivator. And sometimes, you know, if that happens, you're only human. And I say that with greatest respect, and to say, well, you know, don't beat yourself up for being just like every other person on this planet and every other referee in the game, from someone that's reffing an under-5 game to someone that's reffing the World Cup final or the Euro final in a month's time. They'll be feeling exactly the same, won't they?
Yeah, completely understand that. No, it's true. It is good. Like, after all this, I love refereeing. I love the game. I love the game in general. Like, for me, I coach, I referee. I run a business now for disability football players to try and get them to employment and become directors and all sorts, for example. So I love the game as a whole. Being a referee is superb. I absolutely adore it. I can't play as much anymore now. One, because of age and stuff, it does creep up on you. But I want to give back to the game, and I still love it and I still adore it. So I'll never step away from refereeing. But at the same time, there's times, like you said, I enjoy the game. I enjoy refereeing. Sometimes I won't, but that comes to players and coaches and all sorts. But that support network, I feel that there needs to be something there, because the fact that as a referee, like you mentioned, that you are out there on your own, especially when it comes to grassroots football. You're there, you're in the middle, and when the game stops, for you as a referee, it doesn't stop right there. And it's like, well, then what do we do? And I think if we get that right, one, there's going to be more referees staying in the game. And two, it's going to encourage more referees to come through. Like my children, for example, they're looking to get onto their referees courses going forward. It will encourage more referees, and we definitely need that. We
so what can be done then? What can we do? And I say we, you know, I mean, as a football family community, as the FA, what strikes me, and this is going back to the abuse you got at the top of when we started discussing that, to me, there should have been surely there's someone else in that crowd that's looking and going, this ain't right, and we need to say something. You know, that's not ref, your crap, ref, that's a wrong decision, how can you give a penalty for that, foul, get a grip. It's abuse. It's abuse. And if that was what I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to make, and I'm not trying to downplay or overplay anything, but let's just say if you were a black referee and someone said something about your skin tone, that club would be in it, wouldn't they? They'd be in the shit.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, and and to me, that is no different. And I say that as someone that's mixed race, so I'm not, I've heard what can be said to people of different colours and stuff. That is no different to me. And that is, it upset me when you were telling me. It did. I thought that is just horrendous.
I probably, in fairness, and I hope it don't come back to bite me on the arse, that I probably should have said something. But I'm hoping it doesn't, to be honest. But at the same time, I was like, do you know what? It wasn't right, and I was trying my best, and I'll always try my best. But it's that comment. I spoke to my wife about I'm not having a great. I weren't having a great game. I think I said to my wife that I'm not enjoying this game.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't go in as much detail as I should have done or could have done. But it's not that I felt embarrassed or something. It's to me, it just, right, I'll let this game, I'll work hard the next game. And that's kind of the mentality I went through. But it's only really when I speak to you now and I hear the word that, oh, that was abuse and stuff like that, oh, actually, when you think about it, and the way you put it down, Danny, is, I appreciate it. It's like, do you know what? If it was this, this, and this, would you have done something then? Now, and I'll go, do you know what? I probably should have done.
Yeah.
And you can tell that it has left it with me. The fact that the a comment such as that is meant so much to me. The fact that not just physically, but mentally, it knocked me for six. And then it did affect the next game and the next game and the next game. And even now, when I'm talking to yourself, I'm like, it has. It's not that I've got over it kind of thing, because I don't think, still talking to you now, I haven't.
No,
but
you're not gonna.
No, it isn't. And I probably should have done more, because that changes the game as a whole. That and we speak about it a lot. And it's only really speaking to you now, I'm thinking, well, do you know what I should have done? And that's something I will change going forward. So for me, speaking to yourself is something I will do. But where I was on my own, it's like, well, do you know what? Who do I reach out to and stuff like that? There is a lot of support there, and I'm not knocking the support they have from, obviously, like Cornwall FA, Devon FA, other referees, because that was a choice that I could have reached out and all sorts. It's more for me going forward is that network being. I know it's there currently, like I could pick up the phone and doing it and stuff like that. But at times when you are on your own, like in the car, or then 15 minutes to the changing room, or that moment, it's them moments you go, do you know what? I can't do this no more. I've had enough. And it's them split decisions. And I've seen online, for example, in a lot of the referees groups and stuff like, do you know what? I can't do this no more. And they've gone, they've left. And right, I'm putting up and you see like your refs shirts go up for sale and all sorts, and you try and go,
I've seen that.
And you well, for me, I've seen it on some, and I've reached out to some of the refs personally, and like, are you okay and stuff like that. I've just had enough. But it's then too late. Like, it's a week or so later, and they've made the decision that it's gone. It's in that moment that after a game or stuff like that, it's that moment, that first hour to 2 hours or something like that. So, well said about on the referees reports that you go through, like online, like the whole game from the FA. If there's something there that goes, how are you? How are you? And if you go, do you know what? Even if it's just a tick box,
I'm shit.
Even if it's just a tick box, and this is just my suggestion, I don't think the FA can do anything regarding it and all sorts. That when you've gone through your referee's report, like normally I sit in the car and I just put my report in. Like, do you know what? This is it. The game's done, and I'm sitting there and all sorts. Right, just for me as memory more than anything, because my old age. But if there's something there, they go, do you know what? How are you? How are you? Like, do you need any assistance? Not a misconduct report or anything like that. It's nothing to do with that. It's just me. I need support. Just put that box. And even if you know that within the next 48 hours you're going to be called, or whenever. For me as a person, knowing that, do you know what? Someone's going to give me a call and I'm going to get the help and support that I need. For me, that would be a game changer. I think it would be.
I think, though, going back to the abuse, I think if you would have had someone there to speak to after the game, they'd have said, you need to include this. And again, this is criticism of yourself, because I can only imagine the shock that you maybe felt with that. That where it's the last thing you expect, and you hit it, and maybe you're hearing things that it's just, anyway, I don't want to talk about it. It's horrendous. The point I'm making, I think if someone were there to speak to afterwards, they would have been able to say to you, and they probably would, you need to get that in, mate. That is out of order. And that is, and I think, by documenting these areas of abuse, it helps educate people as well. It helps educate the other people on the sideline to say, well, that's not on. We collectively, we need to be there's a self-policing element with that. And like I say, if someone had mentioned your skin tone as a black referee, all that sideline would have been, whoa, mate, you're out of order here. You're out of order. And that's the same. And it just, a lot of it, to me, it completely unacceptable what was said. I think education to normal, nice people that would never even think of that around how talking to someone about things like that can damage them. The more education people have about that, the less it's going to happen, because then the self-policing element will come in and you'd be going, oh, mate, what you on about? No, that's not on. That is not on. So either shut up or leave.
I'd happily speak to anyone to let them know how that made me feel, because obviously speaking to yourself now, that it's only really now that I've broken it down and speaking openly about it. It's that, do you know what, it hurt me, and I'm going to say them words, and it hurt me. Just mentally, I was hurt. And if there's any referees that do listen to this and know that, and they've gone through that, then feel free. They can reach out, and I'll tell them exactly how I felt and stuff like that as well. And feel free, if they ever want to talk to me, then I'm there to do that. But it's like you say, it's the education, and I think if it's there, I think it will be brilliant. And that's not just spectators; that's player on player. That's coaches to the players as well. How you speak to players in the game. It's not just abuse; it's the way you talk to people. It's the leaving effects that you have on the player. Like, as a coach, I've had some absolutely amazing positive coaches in my lifetime. But I've also had some that has left a negative mark on me. The fact that the way they spoke to me was detrimental to the game. But I think that's not just me as a referee. I think that goes throughout the game. Like, if there's more education on how you can speak to people and your words mean so much, that I think there was something before through the FA many years ago, and I'm talking quite a few years ago, that words do matter. There was something around that. I don't even know if it was that slogan or words do matter. And it's like, well, what you say to players, I think it was around about youth, what you say to players can have a major effect on them. But why can't that be across the whole game? So that's from spectators, everyone. Your words do matter. And I don't know, we'll make a change in the end, Danny. I'm sure there'll be change in the end, but
I think like just one thing I meant to pick up on as well is when you mentioned the sin bins, and like I don't think they've been, if you want to put it in a business sense, marketed enough. That people don't know enough about them, because what the example you give, where it were in either, look mate, either leave for 10 minutes or leave permanently, your decision. He went, did the sin bin and came back, and he had that time to reflect, calm down, and actually go, yeah, we're out of order, and came and acknowledged his behaviour. That to me is exactly what a sin bin's for. But as a coach and as players, I don't think we know enough about them. It's sort of things like these that are good ideas, I think, but aren't pushed. It's an ideal way at any age to diffuse a situation between a ref and a player, two players. Sometimes you think a player might get sent off for something, but you just need it 10 minutes to calm down and reflect. And why are sin bins not been thrown in front of us every week as coaches, players and referees?
There's a lot, because I hear two sides of this, Danny. I really do. That I hear a lot that are for sin bins, a lot against. And for me, in the circles that I'm at, there's in truth, there's probably a lot more against sin bins than there are for them. And the fact in, oh well, it's that player's then off for 10 minutes and it affects the game, and it's not in the spirit of the game. Everyone should be playing and all sorts. And I hear that a lot. But for me, if you give a yellow card to a player, and this is just my opinion, I've given a yellow card to a player for dissent to start off with as such, before sin bins were all in and around. That wasn't a deterrent. You give a yellow card and they're like, do you know what? They're on the edge there, and in the end, sometimes you do send them off. Right? Do you know what? I've had enough. Like, or it becomes like, do you know what? Your dissent is getting too much. I've had enough of this. And they go, and it's, do you know what? The ref done this, the ref done that. He sent me off for this, and this. Giving that player that 10 minutes, and like I mentioned the example, I've done a couple of sin bins this season. That you send that player off, and you're hoping that, do you know what?
Yeah.
That 10 minutes, And sometimes it is the coach on the sideline that
Yeah.
I've even heard just going, and they go off and say, "Oh, what did you say?" And you hear it. What did you say to the ref? Oh, like, I told him he's this, this, and this, or whatever. Not abusive language, found abusive, but it's got to a point that, do you know what, here's the scent.
Yeah.
And some of the coaches have gone, "What are you doing? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
You've now done this to the team in all sorts." And do you know what? The worst you said, do you think that's needed?
Yeah.
And you can see sometimes that even I coach more. Referee more adults now than youth. And you can see that player for 10 minutes going, "Oh, do you know what?" And he's reflecting on it.
Yeah.
And for them to come back on the pitch, put out the hand and go, "Do you know what?
Yeah.
I was wrong." Where we spoke about education, that 10 minutes is probably the education they needed.
Yeah.
And they've come back on, and I've seen players that they were renowned for yellows and red cards. They were. But sometimes I got that sin bin, and it's like, do you know what? Reflect on what you're doing. They've come on, and their game has changed, and the yellow cards have gone down, the red cards have gone down. Isn't that better for the game? Because of the fact that they're on the pitch, they're playing, you've educated them. Yeah, their team might have gone down to 10 men for 10 minutes in an onside game, but that then shows the rest of the team that, do you know what, it's not on. Dissent isn't on. By showing a yellow card, some people go, "Oh, do you know what, I paid the £15 or whatever it is, and I'll crack on." When a team knows that they've gone down to 10 men for 10 minutes, and it has changed the course of many games that I've done, do you know what, that's more of a deterrent for me. Then it's more of an education, because the team goes, "Do you know what, if we do this, we're going down to 10 men. One, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But second of all, should I be saying it in the first place?" That's for me. It's just my personal. I think sin bins should be used more.
I do.
And I think it's a great education tool if it's marketed right. And I do think there needs to be a lot more on the marketing side.
It should be thrown in front of everyone every weekend, because, like, you said there, like, say you're getting this abuse or something happens, or I've seen it. I've played in games, ref games, where it's getting heated, and there's a couple of players on each team that you can see red mists descending, and I'm thinking he's going to get. I might have said to coach when I've been playing, get him off, because if not, he's walking off. But either you'll take him off, or ref's going to send him off. And I think if then, let's for example, he does get sent off, that red mist is not gonna. He's going to be sat on the sideline seething because he's been sent off, injustice, bum, bum, bum. Where if he's given the opportunity to say, "Look, mate, bugger off for 10 minutes, he's going to calm down because he knows he can go back on the pitch. If he's sent off, he's not going back on. And that red mist is not going to go away, and he's going to think, "Oh, yeah, I'm bad." He's going to be so mad at everyone else apart from himself. That sin bin allows that player to reflect on his actions or her actions. And come back on and go, well, and it shows everyone else that there's a punishment for this, but there's also a bit like rehabilitation, if you know what I mean, isn't it? There's a chance to sort of sit, reflect, learn, come back on, and hopefully not make this same mistake twice. And if you're a team that's defending a 1-0 lead in last half hour, and one of you gets sin-binned, then it's like, what are you doing, mate? Where sometimes if they get sent off, it can be, well, you didn't deserve that, and done. So sometimes there's a bit of like, well, ref were wrong, but there's a sin bin, and you can you explain to coach, manager, player why he's going off. No one's going to, I can't see how anyone can say that's a bad thing. And if someone's saying it's not in spirit at game, well, what isn't spirit at game, mate? Offering abuse to referees and other players and stuff. So no, sorry, I think it's a great idea, and I think it just needs, the referee need to really, really push it as a tool that it's like a bit of like a preventative tool, isn't it? It's last thing people want is people getting sent off at every level. It can ruin the game, can't it? You watch it at professional and someone gets sent off and next 80 minutes just sat behind the ball and it's a crap game. No one wants people to be sent off. No one wants people to be yellow carded. So I think it's a great idea. Should be just pushed more. The sort of things we've discussed internally about support stuff, and we've looked at maybe putting together like a referee support forum, so maybe on like a Monday night people can just dial in on a Teams call, and all refs just are there to talk to each other, so we've got that element, only for like, could be half an hour, could be an hour, not all night job, but just where refs can like talk to each other
a little drop in or something. Yeah,
about what you've said. You know, I got this, and well, that's out of order, mate. You need to stick that in report. You know, well, I ain't done. Well, get that fucking report and get it put in. You know, and we've said same to, you know, about coaches as well. You know, because so many coaches have said to me how, and that word, that line phrase you used, do I need this? I see so many coaches saying that as well, because shit they get from parents, and, you know, parents thinking the Pep Guardiola and the Sons Harry Kane or Lionel Messi, and it's World Cup final, when it's neither that, and it's you know, wet Sunday morning in, you know, middle of Brighouse or whatever. You know, it's and they said, do I need this? I don't need this, because parents are just, you know, it's just horrendous. So I think where you've got anywhere where you can talk to your peers, it can only help. So I don't know, do you think that'd be a decent idea to maybe like a monthly referee support forum or something?
Yes, I think it's brilliant. I really do. And I like what you mentioned just at the end there as well, that when it comes to the coaches, that, do you know what, I don't need this.
Yeah.
Having that support there, that someone can dial in and stuff like that, for example. But when it comes to that, what the next thing, the thought that could be put in is the powers that the coaches have as such. So when we mentioned beforehand that when it comes to, you hear stuff on the sideline from parents that, oh, it's this, or you're getting abuse and stuff like that, or you hear comments, or even to their own players or children, for example. And you as a coach, like, I'm putting my coach head on now, for example, that I hear it and you're like, do you know what, just stop. Just stop saying the stuff that you're saying, or stop giving instructions or all sorts. But when it comes to that, when it crosses the line, that, do you know what, that's wrong, that you've got to stop saying it. I think there needs to be a bit more power there, that, do you know what, as the leagues can even put in, go, do you know what, as a coach, if you feel that a spectator that is representing your club is being detrimental to the game, you can take action, you can do this, this and this. And me as a coach, there's been a few that I'm speaking to. Well, I don't know what I can do about that. Because they're there, because they're looking after their child, or because they've paid to come in. What can I do about it?
Yeah.
And I think that if there's certain laws or rules or regulations put in, you're going, do you know what? If you hear something, instead of speaking out and going, do you know what, I'll speak after the game or whatever. Is there anything that we can do during the game? Is there anything that we can do to say, do you know what, this isn't right there and then? So like we've got the sin bins, for example, that it educates the players, they go off for 10 minutes. Is there anything to go, do you know what, if we hear it around the ground as a coach or as a referee or someone involved within the club, is there any action we can take right there and then to go, do you know what, that's not acceptable. This is what's going to be happening. And it's, I know as a coach, there's certain things that you can remove certain people and stuff like that, for example. But I think a lot of people don't know the process of doing stuff.
Just going to say that.
I think it's more the education. So when it comes out, like when it comes in the education of sin bins, that, well, this is what's happening. When it comes to you as a coach, for example, Danny, like if it was told from the top that, do you know what, if you're hearing something from a parent or a spectator or anything on the sideline that you are not happy with, or is detrimental to the game, or especially when it comes to abuse, this is what's going to happen. This is what powers that you have. And I think if there's more education around that, the game's going to get better, though, isn't it?
I agree, because if you do it after the event, it's gone. Then you've got to sometimes, you know, show something that's not acceptable and show that something's been done about it. But the issue is, as coaches, etc., you don't know what you can and can't do. You don't know what guidelines they are. And for me, things like this are just so simple. All you need to do is create a PDF with the information on. And what does grassroots football live by? WhatsApp. You just whack it out. You just whack it out to every coach in league and say, look, this is your guidelines. This is what you can do. Send this to all your parent groups so they know what's going to happen if this happens. Done. And then no one can say, you're not allowed to do that. I didn't know I could do that. It's all there, mate. I sent it you. You've got it on your phone. You've got it on your WhatsApp. Everyone's had a copy. You know, in my speak, piss off. You wouldn't say piss off in front of people, but, you know, just bugger off, mate. You won't say that. You won't handle it like that and been over, you know what I mean? But it would be, look, I'm asking you to leave. Why? Because of this. And I can do that. So either leave or the game gets abandoned. That's when self-policing comes in, because everyone else is going to say, look, bugger off, because I don't want this game abandoned. My lad loves football. My girl loves football. I've driven half an hour to get to this game. So bugger off. So no, Simon, thanks so much. Honestly, I know we were going to talk about the other thing, but I just wanted to let you go because it was just brilliant what you've said. And so many people, not just in refereeing circles, in all areas of Grassroots will listen to what you've said. And I think it's great that, you know, we're hearing from a referee, and I think players and coaches and spectators will listen to this and go, not on, you know, not on, you know, and I think it'll help people think twice about what they say, what they do, how they interact with referees. And if one person thinks we've done his job, and, you know, thanks so much, you know, I just really, really appreciate it. It's been brilliant. And, you know, it's thanks for opening out as well, because, you know, that as hard as it was to hear will help. It will. And I think, you know, once we get this out, and it will, you know, and it will, like I said to you at the time, I were upset listening to it. So what it did for you on the day and what it's done for you moving forward, I can't imagine. But look, mate, you're still doing it, and that's the way to not let them win, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. No, I love it, and I'm trying to go from strength to strength. Like, immediately for me, I'm looking to get more into the refereeing next year and going for my promotion channels and stuff like that. I'm just trying to get the fitness up now, back to where I was and stuff like that. But no, I'm not ever planning to leave the game. In fairness, I'm probably going to be either coaching, refereeing, or at least spectating, at least for the rest of my life. I just love the game. But if there's changes that can be made to make a positive, not just for me but for everyone, then I'm all for it. Yeah, every day.